You're very welcome along to another video. This time I'm focused on all the European athletics and swimming action, some of the medals we've won so far, and a look ahead to this weekend's action in both the pool and on the track. No better place to start than last night in what was one of the best 30 minutes for not just Irish athletics, but Irish sport. Both a European gold and silver medal secured. Let's start with Mark English and the European gold. And I have to say, there's some buzz watching him win that race, particularly given his longevity, which I'll touch on in just a second. But my initial takeaway was what a buzz that was. 2014, he won his first European medal at just 21 years of age with bronze. 12 years later, at the age of 33, he wins his first European gold medal. He is now the best in Europe, and it was just an incredible display. The turning point for Mark English's career. He was a consistent performer with a number of European bronze and silver medals. He went and ended up going full-time about 3 or 4 years ago. He was a full-time doctor. He went full-time into athletics, and the improvements have been immeasurable. They've been incredible, and even having Cian McPhillips there, which I'll touch on in a minute, has almost pushed him on further. But at 33 years of age, it is just incredible, and especially when you take into context who he was up against. Yes, you can see the ages of all his opponents here. He is 33 years of age and arguably as good as ever. Well, he is arguably as good as ever. But look at these opponents, aged between 23 and to 27, which is in general the average for peaking in terms of 800 meters, that mid-20s, sometimes early 20s as well, although 800 meters a little bit later than maybe some of the sprint events. But yeah, it is just mind-blowing when you see this in front of you, 33 years of age. And considering how long he's been going, I mentioned it, 12 years, basically at 13 years at the top of his game, and pretty consistent throughout that period. There's obviously been some lulls in there, but consistently producing medals, it's amazing. So it feels like the culmination of his whole career. And given we've less than 2 years to go to the Olympics, that's very much where his focus is going to be. World Championships, Beijing, see how we can get on the Worlds. Can he not just make a final, but really push hard and maybe top 4, top 5, because obviously medals are a lot tougher at world level. And then we get ahead to the Olympics where we could have a crescendo to his entire career. It's just a brilliant story. And there's all his medals listed below. I mentioned European medals, so he's won 3 outdoor medals, which are obviously the pinnacle versus the indoor season, for example. But you got European gold 2026, European bronze 2022, and then 2014 European bronze as well as a number of high finishes there. But then his 3 indoor titles as well: European indoor silver medalist in 2015, 2019 European indoor bronze, and then 2025 European indoor silver. It has been a stellar career for Mark English, and it does feel there's even more to come. Okay, we went from one European medal to another, and Rhasidat Adeleke, and I'll just read out my initial tweet and reaction. Let's just say she is back. Needs to run that time at the Nationals to qualify for the European 200 meters after a year disrupted with injuries. More on that in just a second. Then she produces those runs in the semi-final and then final, a 200-meter national record for a silver medal. And again, a month ago, or maybe 2-3 weeks ago, whenever Nationals was, if she didn't run that time, she wouldn't have qualified for the European 200 meters, and she would have been watching it with the rest of us. Had there been a headwind in towards her that was heavy enough to stop her running that time, she'd be watching it, the rest of us, and we'd be having entirely different conversations about Rhasidat. But at 23 years of age, she has 2 European senior medals. I'll touch on her medals in just a second. A silver medal at 400 meters, and now a silver medal at 200 meters. There are her senior medals. I've included a couple of relay medals in 2024 as well. It's hard to believe she ended up with 3 medals at the last European Championships, and for this one, she wasn't going to be there. She's had a number of hamstring injuries. She's had struggled in America. Well, I say struggle with injuries there, to be fair. And it always feels like she's a 300-meter runner that was trying to run 400 meters, and now she's a 300-meter runner trying to run 200 meters. And it does seem to suit where she's at the moment. She's quick off the blocks, and she's able to power through with that 400-meter running. And it was a brilliant almost leap and push forward to sneak silver medal. I just thought she was always going to get bronze medal right to that finish. So that was just pure heart. It was brilliant to watch. It's great to see her back, more importantly, and it's hard to believe, given the medals she has here at 23 years of age, that we were almost writing her off only a few months ago. And I have to say, RT's coverage in general, Greg Allen's commentary on both Mark English and Rhasidat, unbelievable and well worth checking out on social if you haven't seen the behind the scenes clips already. And then David Gillick's interviews, also amazing. And to be honest, RT's coverage of European athletics and European swimming this week has been absolutely superb. I have to give them full credit for that. And the interviews itself, Rhasidat gives 10 out of 10 interviews every single time. And I was trying to think of why. I mean, I think in general, she's private enough person in terms of how training's going, or even some of those injuries. You might see the odd statement and not necessarily know what's going on. So when you see her at trackside, it's almost like she opens up as much as she can. And for her to say stuff like so many times, I thought like, "Am I cooked?" is wild. At 23 years of age, to be washed up with 2 European silver medals in the back pockets for the last 3 years. It just shows the high standards she sets herself and also the high capabilities we all know she has. So brilliant to see her a lot more relaxed. She was the same after the semi-final, even more so after the final. She had to remind herself that she can't be disappointed with a European silver medal, particularly given where she's been and how she's come into these championships. And look, if had she had a clean run, who knows, that gold medal could have potentially been on. But it's just a brilliant performance to get that silver medal, and hopefully she can push on at World 11. Who knows what her capabilities are? It's probably the 200 meters at the moment, but you can't rule out another go of the 400 meters maybe later in her career. And I touched on some of the coverage as well, but I wanted to read out a tweet that I wanted to try and bring what last night meant, because it was such a monumental day in Irish sport, and I don't believe that's an exaggeration at all. Some buzz watching those 2 heroes, 2 completely different stories, 2 different ends of careers, 2 brilliant Irish athletes. Both needed medals in their own different ways, and both delivered on the biggest stage of all. Mark English with gold in the 800 meters, Rhasidat Adeleke with silver in the 200 meters. Brilliant stuff. It was all live on RT television. It doesn't get much better. The amount of viewers for that, the amount of kids inspired by those performances, you'll never be able to tell those intangible things, but it doesn't get much better. It's a magical evening. And sport, like, how can you not love sport? How can people live without sport? The joy it's brought, not just me, but everyone around the country, second to none. It's brilliant, and it's well done again to those 2 incredible Irish athletes. Okay, I'm going to look at some of the other Irish performances and a preview of the schedule of the rest of the Irish athletics, as well as covering the Irish swimmers. But if you are enjoying the content, if you can take 2 seconds, hit that like button, subscribe completely for free to the YouTube channel. It's the best no-cost way of supporting us here and helps me continue making these videos. Let's get on with it. Yeah, and just run through some of the performances, some of the big names coming into this games. And Sarah Healy, 4th place in the 5,000 meters. On paper, you would say that's pretty decent, but look, she sort of made a tactical error, got caught on the inside. There was definitely a bronze medal for her, and the fast finishing showed that was definitely the case. She's a 1,500 meter runner turned into a 5,000 meter runner, if that makes sense. She has her 1,500 meters to come over the weekend. I'll cover that in terms of the schedule and what time that's at, so a chance for her to put that right. So 4th in Europe, you can't complain in one sense, but she'll definitely be disappointed with that. And she said so herself afterwards with David Gillick. Cian McPhillips is what could have been. A virus basically put him out of any contention, and you're cooked, literally cooked. Unlike Rhasidat, you're properly cooked. If you pick up a virus a week beforehand, you're just not able to have that same energy levels. And it just shows how important that week or 2 before a championship is. Even if you're just resting up, to have that virus put him out of contention completely. Who knows? That could have been a showdown in that 800 meter final with Cian McPhillips and Mark English. I know, big thinking there, considering he was 4th in the world only 12 months ago. And this season was like last season. He was sort of trying to peak as late as possible in the year. So I do feel this is probably as hard look a story as you're going to get in sport in general. It is, injuries are cruel, but obviously a virus like that is even more frustrating. But there's definitely, he's so young compared to Mark English, and he'll look at Mark and think, why not me? And hopefully the 2 of them can push each other on next year ahead of the World Championships in Beijing. Okay, here are Kate O'Connor's times. Now, I have gone a little bit more specific in my updated tweets, so do check that out. And I know a lot of people are watching this maybe after Friday, so I'll just run through this very quickly. Hopefully Kate O'Connor's picked up a medal. 10:35, 11:25, her first 2 events Friday morning. 7:35, 8:55, her second 2 events on Friday evening. And Saturday morning, we have the long jump, javelin throw. And then the Saturday evening, it is the crescendo at around quarter day with the 800 meter run. And it is important to say, like, Mark English in the 800 meters, when he gets to the world level, there's going to be a lot of tougher runs versus Kate O'Connor, where a lot of the heptathlon better athletes right now are concentrated in Europe, which means a European medal is almost as hard, emphasis on almost, of course, than a world title. So that's important to emphasize. If Kate maybe falls short, she is 3rd favorite at the moment for gold medal, so it means likely she might get bronze, or at least that's what people are predicting. It's not beyond the realms that she can get a gold medal, but definitely just to lower expectations a little bit. She'll be targeting a medal for sure, but gold or even silver are not guaranteed, just given these are probably the best heptathletes in the world right now. Okay, I mentioned the updated times, so these are the exact times for the Irish and European athletics actions today. Again, a lot of people are watching this post Friday. I'll take about 20 seconds here. 10:42, Kate O'Connor, 11:25, 7:35, and 9:02 there. So she is in the second heat in the 200 meters. Important to note. We've got the men's relay in action and the women's relay, both in round one. Unlikely to be getting into the finals here, but great. Probably my favorite events to watch, those 4x4 100 meter relays. So they're in the morning session. Cathal, Doyle, Andrew Coscoran, 1500 meters, both targeting a 1500 meter final, Andrew Coscoran in particular. And then we have the 10,000 meter final with Niamh and Fiona, and that's at 7:45, both of them in action in the 10,000 meter final. On to Saturday there, and you can see 7:30 a.m. the half marathon walk and the marathon walk. David Kenny and Oisin Lane in that. We got Kate O'Connor in action, of course, 10:25, 11:55, and 7:45 that I touched on earlier. We've got Sarah Healy, she's in the 1500 meters, along with Sophie O'Sullivan and Jodie McCann. We've got the women's relay and men's relay 4x100 meter round one. Very excited. A lot of athletes making their competitive debut on the European stage, so looking forward to seeing that. And then potentially a 1500 meter final with Andrew Coscoran and Cathal Doyle. More likely Andrew Coscoran there, 9:07. That is Saturday. And then Sunday we got the marathons. We got Fionnulala McCormack in the women's marathon and Paul O'Donnell and Ryan Creech in the men's marathon. We got Jack O'Leary in the 10,000 meter men's final again. And then we have hopefully a 1500 meter final with Sarah Healy, maybe Sophie O'Sullivan there as well, and Jodie McCann potentially. 1500 meter final, very much Sarah Healy is the one to watch from there. And then those relay finals, which I don't expect us to be in, but who knows, stranger things, 4x400 meter, anything can happen in the relays. So that's enough athletics. It has been a super week and a close second, if not nearly as good, if not better, just given where swimming was a few years ago. The European swimming championships or European aquatics championships. And let's start with the two medals we picked up so far. There may be more to come throughout the weekend. I'm recording this Friday morning, as I said, with Mona McSharry, who was potentially going to leave the sport after the last Olympics. The Olympic cycle, the 4 years was a lot, but she took a few months. She is back swimming at as good a level as ever. She won European silver there in the 100 meter breaststroke, and she's now going to be in the 200 meter breaststroke tonight, Friday evening. So we'll see how that goes. I'll touch on those two finalists in just a second, but what an unbelievable swim from her to get that silver medal. Brilliant performance. And she said herself afterwards that she was mentally drained the following day trying to qualify for this 200 meter breaststroke final. So I think we'll get a more open interview after the two events have finished, but can't say more than that. Mona McSharry, she's an absolute superstar, and she's now a European silver medalist. And then the surprise in one sense, at least for me, was Ellen Walsh and how much she's kicked on from Paris and the Olympics to win a European gold medal. And if you haven't seen this yet, I want you to go back and watch this European gold swim, because I mentioned it here. Her turns off the bend in that last leg particularly was ultimately the difference as she hunted down Smith. This is the individual medley. You've got 4 different swims, and for her, she basically makes up a lot of ground in the water. And then I think it's, some people are saying the only other swimmer they can think that spends that long in the water at this level of competition was Michael Phelps, which is as good a comparison as you're ever going to get. But do watch it back. She spends the longest in the water. It almost feels like a cheat code for Ellen. It's like her superpower, as the RT team were saying. And for her to kick on there, at one stage I thought silver medal was definitely on the cards, but then to win gold medal was just incredible. Seeing her here in Iran Naveen played in Paris was just surreal. A brilliant performance, and a national record to boot as well. And I'll cover the high finishes from all the other Irish swimmers in just a second, but I want to mention again that it's annoying because this will already a final have taken place, but I cannot remember a final with 2 Irish swimmers in it. Surreal. A European final, Mona McSharry and Ellie McCartney both qualifying for the European 200 meter breaststroke final. I touched on Mona already, but Mona did it by winning her semi-final, albeit you can see there she was the 4th quickest time, so not guaranteed necessarily a medal. The final is live, 5:43 p.m. on RT2. But for Eddie McCartney, and I think this shows the theory, and we've seen this in athletics, rising tide lifts all boats, and with Mona McSharry producing the performances, Ellie has sort of risen herself to that level and is now in a European final with her hero Mona. And I just think that shows everything. I always felt with athletics when Rhasidat first came on the scene, it elevated Charlene and Sophie Becker as well. And I feel the same is happening in Irish swimming with Mona McSharry, with Eddie McCartney in the same competition, but also the likes of Daniel Whiffen winning Olympic gold has sort of shown Team Ireland that there is medals. They are good enough to win medals, and the work being done at Swim Ireland has been incredible. Let's get on to some of the top finishes as well. Yeah, finalists include Danielle Hill. She finished 8th to 7th finish, I think, from John Shore and Jack Healy. There's a lot going on, but I know they've both produced decent performances, get to the final, and a little bit disappointed, some of them, but overall, you to get to a European final is brilliant. Daniel Whiffen is a different case. He finished 4th. He's obviously Olympic gold medalist. Hasn't quite clicked for him in the sense that he struggles since moving to America. The Whiffen brothers, highly publicized, went to America over the last few months. Hasn't worked out, but Daniel Whiffen's been back working with Swim Ireland over the last few weeks, and that's shown in his performances. He's getting a lot better to finish 4th in the 800 meters. As far as I know, he's swimming in the 1500 meters. It's great to have those big swimmers like Daniel Whiffen. I know he hasn't quite produced the goods this year, but he's very much an Olympic man. He's focused on 4 years, and let's hope other swimmers can get to that stage in LA 2028. It's just such an exciting time, not just for Irish athletics, but Irish swimming as well. We're about halfway through the Olympic cycle. It's very exciting. The focus is now turning towards LA 2028, and can we get as many of our swimmers as possible competing at that level? But it's been a great European Championships so far. We could maybe have another medal or two to add to our 2 medals, but it's just been superb stuff, not just in the pool, but also the track as well. So yeah, that's a little bit of a round of what's been going on this week in European athletics and swimming. Wanted to sort of do daily videos. This tight turnaround is hard on YouTube, that sort of thing. Let me know your thoughts if you enjoyed this video. I might do a review of everything post the weekend as well. But enjoy the weekend's athletics, enjoy the weekend swimming, and enjoy the weekend sport. I'll chat to you soon.